Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Richard.
I'm Noah.
And tonight's episode started with an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
Where I saw an Instagram reel for the Kingsman, the Secret Service.
Yep.
The 2014 Colin Firth movie, which I didn't even know existed. I don't even know how it ended up in my feed. But it did. And I saw the bar fight scene from earlier in the movie.
Yep.
And I said, holy smokes, is this fun? Little did I know, I was seeing the highlight.
Oh, jeez.
Go.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Now, your reaction to this when I suggested that we do this was you were just super excited.
I like this. I love this movie.
Okay.
I like this movie's style. I think the humor is funny, and not all of the action scenes hit great, but that one and the big one, the church one, are two of the best pieces of action cinema ever made. Like, on pure spectacle technique, it is one of the most... The church fight, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, because we're jumping right to the end.
Yep.
It came out 10 years ago. I don't care.
Yeah. No spoiler warnings on this one. We're just talking about it.
It is hands down one of the best fight scenes ever put to cinema. It is hands down one of the best one takes ever put to cinema. And it's not even a true one take.
No,
and that's the secret about it. It's not a true one take. They hit it so well. You have to be looking for that cut. Or you have to be very, very aware of the tricks of the trade to see where they cut it.
That editing was tremendous.
Perfect.
It was incredible.
When I was rewatching it before we were filming, like I rewatched it today.
Right.
I rewound and watched the one take portion of that fight 3 times to see if there was any misalignment in the background, maybe like a fraction here or there. It was picture and pixel perfect.
It was an amazing fight sequence. It was a tremendous amount of fun. And of course, since we're going to dive right in, then there is something that that the setup for the fight sequence.
His whole line right before that.
Okay, the setup right before the fight sequence, you get this absolutely classic line, and I will come back to this a little bit later, but I'm a Catholic whore currently enjoying Congress out of wedlock with my black Jewish boyfriend who works at a military abortion clinic. So hail Satan and have a lovely afternoon, madam. I almost wet myself when I saw that.
It's so well. It's delivered by an actor who is completely overqualified for this project.
Oh yes, he is.
So
I'm glad you said that.
Let's talk about this.
Okay.
This is a movie. Okay, it's a Matthew Vaughn movie.
Right.
And Matthew Vaughn movies, if I'm remembering correctly, because I've seen several of them. He did all 3 Kingsman, which we don't have to watch the second one. We don't need to watch the second one.
Wasn't planning on it.
It's not that good. They're very flashy, and they're very, from the ones that I've seen, they're very style over substance. Which,
well, that would explain this movie perfectly.
And that's why I like it. I think this is a perfectly good, just popcorn flick. You know, if you just take it as a popcorn flick, our first merch is going to be Consume the Content t-shirt. This is a Consume the Content movie. This very much is. And he knows how to shoot very stylized movies. Now, I think the use of CGI in this one is a bit egregious. I think that was a little too much used, but some of the shots that they use, some of the wides, some of the set pieces are very well done. I think
it was a 2014 movie. It is 2014 CGI.
Yes.
Yeah, and
it was after the time when CGI peaked with freaking Pirates of the Caribbean. So to this day, I have not seen a single thing besides maybe Thanos. He's also surrounded by CGI, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
That looks as good as Davy Jones did in Pirates of the Caribbean.
That was amazing.
That was amazing CGI. Yep. We all know it. CGI peaked with Davy Jones. You know, say what you will about the rest of the movies, but anyway, It's, again, very style over substance, and that's what I like about it. It's flashy, it's over the top, it's completely ridiculous.
It's a mess.
It's very much a mess.
It's a mess.
The plot makes no sense. Well, the villain is ridiculous. And you know what? You've got Colin Firth putting his heart and soul into a performance that does not deserve it.
No,
Michael
doesn't.
Caine.
So, well, Michael Caine never turns down a role.
No, he doesn't.
And if you think about he's an actor, and he has said in the past, you never know when you're getting your next role, so take a role, do it.
Yes.
Right? He is an Academy Award winner.
Yes.
And he is the person who did Jaws 4.
Yes.
But when he was questioned about that, he said it paid for my mother's house. Yeah. So, okay.
Sure.
He's pretty upfront about he's taking roles.
Yeah.
Right? His Alfred to Christian Bale
was great.
Was incredible.
Yeah.
Right? So this was a good role for him.
Yes.
He's dependable.
He's a very dependable actor.
And he was a very dependable performer in this movie.
Yes.
This movie is a wreck because it can't decide if it's an action movie, a comedy, or a parody.
You're right.
So it tries to do all three at once.
Yes.
And the only thing it does well is the action.
This is
because
fair.
If you're going to do a parody of James Bond, I'm sorry, but The Incredibles did it better.
Yep.
Austin Powers did it better and funnier.
Yes.
So, even the bad Austin Powers 3 is better than this movie.
As a parody? Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm watching this movie. Now, mind you, I know nothing about this movie going into it. I mean, nothing.
Yes. Yeah, I figured.
Right.
And I don't know if this was preceded by something. Now, it might be. This might be a franchise, because when I look it up, it does say it's also a multimedia franchise consisting of comic books, films, and video games, which could just either be tie-ins or it could be, which I did not.
All right. So
I think it started with the movies, but I'm not sure. Oh, he also did that Argyle movie that came out earlier this year, Matthew Vaughn. The Henry Cavill and the book writer, and we saw trailers for it when we watched Godzilla -1, and I don't know. Anyway,
I don't remember that at all. I don't remember.
It's very flashy. Okay. Gotcha. It's very silent.
So
he's got a style.
I noticed all the things that I probably shouldn't notice. I mean, it's like the tailoring of Colin Firth's suits was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he really looked good when he walked into a room.
I mean, if you're going to make the whole bit is that they're gentlemen, like, they went above and beyond in the art department.
Okay, so, since you mentioned it, and this is like, I don't know, page 3, page 5 of, because I
the notes.
Well, the notes. Everybody who watches us knows, I do notes. There's a
lot of notes.
But one of the reasons my notes are so long is because I have to do large print.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So, you get this. The writing just. Oh God, it was all over the place. You get this line that starts with "I'm a Catholic whore," right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you juxtapose that with a couple of really good lines earlier in the movie. I mean, really good lines. One being, a gentleman is about being at ease in your own skin, which is something that Colin Firth exudes in his finely tailored suit in the bar fight scene where he uses an umbrella to kick people's heinies.
Yes. We're past the 2-minute mark.
All right. And then this great quote. It's a quote I've never heard before that I just thought, oh my goodness. And it is, there's nothing noble in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility is being superior to your former self.
Yeah.
And I thought, holy smokes, in the middle of this mess, they deliver these gems.
These
right?
Gems.
These really
good lines.
That they attributed to Hemingway.
Yes.
And it's not actually a Hemingway quote. It's a Hemingway quoted something else.
Yes.
But okay. Does the movie hold my attention? Not when I stop it to spend time researching the quote and find out it's an old Hindu proverb from the 1800s. And it's really good. And of course, the Hindu culture is a culture I know very little about. So that when I come across something like this and say, oh, this is a gem, I'm like, I want to know more about the Hindu culture. Right? Okay. But when you pause the movie to research the quote, you know the movie isn't holding your attention. Cross those out right there.
I will be honest. This was very much a movie that I could sit and doom scroll through like Instagram and Facebook Reels until it got, because I knew when the action scenes were coming, because I could hear when the action scenes were coming. So then I would look up and watch the action scenes to analyze the action scenes, and then I'd go back to mindlessly scrolling while paying attention.
Right.
This is a multitask movie. This is not a case my full attention. This is I'm sending emails while watching this movie.
Yeah, I can believe that. Okay.
But I still that was the most fun I've had sending an email in a long time.
You know? And I have to ask, and maybe this is cruel, because so Colin Firth, Samuel L. Jackson, and Taron Egerton. Mm-hmm. All right, all three.
Yeah,
good actors. But when I saw Taron Egerton, I thought, this person walked off the pages of Game of Thrones and into a modern movie. I mean, the name just sounds that way. I'm hoping that's a stage name, and I apologize if I'm insulting you. I'm just saying that's what I was thinking when I heard it. All right.
He's gotten
he did a great job.
I think he's gotten some bigger roles. I know he played Elton John in the Elton John biopic.
Did he really? That was him.
Yeah, it was him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I saw clips from that. It looked really good.
How he got that job?
Oh.
Says Elton John is in the second movie as himself.
Oh, okay.
And he liked
Taron Egerton.
He liked Taron so much he said, I want this guy to play me in my biopic. And that was as soon as the Freddie Mercury one came out, and Rami Malek did such a good job as Freddie Mercury.
Gotcha.
He was like, well, if they're going to make one about me, I need someone.
Well, you know what?
Which is cool.
I haven't seen the movie, but I
don't know, but I mean,
I saw the clips. I saw the trailer for it, and it looked really good.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why it's 2024 and we're covering a 2014 movie. I'll see the Elton John biopic in about 2030.
Yeah, eventually.
Good Lord blesses me with that many. So, what do you do with a movie that acknowledges that it's a movie, not once, but twice?
Yeah,
twice.
Yeah.
This ain't that kind of a movie, bro. I'm sorry, Deadpool does it better. Yeah. Now, obviously, Deadpool comes later, but I'm looking at it and I'm just like, this is a mess.
You can tell Samuel L. Jackson was just having fun with this and did not care.
He must not have, because Samuel L. Jackson with a lisp, I mean, oh my God, it was horrible. It was horrible. That voice and that man who can be so menacing. Doesn't he naturally have one? Lisp?
I think he might. I don't know. I think I've heard somewhere that he did. I'll verify this, and this will be one of those times where I research it after the video and drop the text that explains whether I'm right or wrong. I have no idea. I think he was definitely exaggerating it if he does actually have one, but
it was horrible. It was just it was embarrassing. Yeah. It was embarrassing for me to watch. So, and you can hear when he's talking and he's trying to be the bad guy with the lisp. Now, when I finally realized, okay, it's a comedy parody. I see where they're going. It still was just like, what a waste of talent, But it's a paycheck. What the hell?
Did you notice it was Commodore Norrington from Parts of the
Caribbean? You stole my line. You stole. Tick off the Norrington line right here. See, it's right there in the Norrington line. Okay, but I had it better. I said, in walks Admiral Norrington, and then he abruptly splits when he's cut in half by the Blade Runner. I was really kind of hoping to drop that. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to work that in, but you stole it, you snot. So there are things in this movie that just they stand up. By the way, Jack Davenport as Lancelot, he's a good actor. I enjoyed seeing him. I had not seen him since Pirates.
Yeah.
You know, but he's clearly got a successful career. Your sister is madly in love with him.
Oh.
So, you know, there you go. The failed hostage rescue, where Norrington gets split in half.
Yes.
Tremendous action sequence.
Yes, very
right?
good.
You know, just
very
and fun. The whole bit with identifying the 62 Davenport, you know, it was excellent. The backwards car chase was fun.
Yes.
Right? So
very well done.
They've got the action going.
Yeah, the action.
So well.
Yeah.
The backwards car chase, I wasn't even spending time trying to figure out how they did it. You know, in the back of my mind, I think they probably had a midget in the trunk facing forward. Little person for all of you. But, you know, only because they've done it before. I mean, I know that that's a filming technique. The parachute sequence had my heart racing. Mm-hmm. It was so well done.
Yeah.
And the landing was, like, you know, they're going to land safely, but it was so well done. Mm-hmm. You know, and everything was cool till I saw the landing, and I was like, "Oh no, those should be 4 broken legs."
Yes.
On that landing,
100%.
You know, right? But I mean, and I love aerial stunts. I love parachuting stunts, and I'm really tempted to jump out of a plane again. It's been 40 years, but I'm really thinking of doing it again. The dog, Jack Bauer.
Yeah,
First of all, great name. Funny. Great name for the dog. The dog was as cute as can be. I will never hear Freebird again the same way. Ever. And I will never look at fireworks again the same way. You know, usually fireworks are used for an orgasm. This is exploding heads.
Yeah.
It was hysterical.
Yeah, it was.
You know, and then, you know, pomp and circumstance with the exploding heads was just, you know, I loved that stuff. That was the one part of the movie that actually made me laugh out loud.
Okay.
Was the exploding heads and pomp and circumstance.
Okay.
Right. You know. So there were things. I say the movie's a mess, but there were things that I truly enjoyed.
There's good stuff in it. You can see where there were good ideas.
Yes. But then you get the movie opening up with Money for Nothing.
Yes.
Okay. Good song.
Yeah.
Don't know what the heck it had to do with the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
You get the bad CGIs of explosions coming out of the building with the rubble forming the letters of whatever words, right? Which is a creative idea.
Yeah.
Except that the spots of the building where the rubble came out of weren't damaged.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you know,
it doesn't make sense.
You're wondering from the beginning of the movie, do I take this seriously or not?
Yes.
And I think that's the thing that just troubled me.
You have to get about like halfway through the movie before you realize not to take it seriously.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's the biggest issue with it, because keep going. We'll talk about that.
No, I mean, you know, you get the first punch thrown in the bar fight scene, and you see the molar flying across the screen, which is hysterically funny, but they didn't do enough of that to establish comedy sequence.
Yes.
Not because then the rest of the action of that fight is incredible.
Yes. Oh, and it is really well done.
Oh, it's extraordinarily well done.
It is the best use of shaky cam in fights I have seen in years.
Yep.
Because so many people ruined that style because they weren't doing it right. They were just hiding bad action with shaky cam.
So you invest energy into, you know, you've got Colin Firth playing Henry Hart, and he's good. Mm-hmm. You just kind of accept him for who he is. So good, or Harry Hart.
Yeah.
You accept him, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And you get to know Eggsy, and then you get the team auditioning for the sole position of Lancelot, and they're just cardboard cutout, two-dimensional.
Standard high school drama.
Yeah, exactly,
BS.
yes.
Standard high school drama BS.
With smarmy coming from some of those other guys. Not quite as well done as Graves from Die Another Day.
Yeah.
So since they're doing the whole Bond parody, Graves did it better.
Mm-hmm.
He just did. Okay, you know.
Yeah.
If you
I like the idea of if we're doing like the James Bond thing. I like that their whole theme is Knights of the Round Table, and that their Q is named Merlin.
Yeah, actually, yes.
I thought that was good. I thought it was creative.
That was good.
I thought it was very creative. You know, the head is called Arthur. I was like, this is really creative. Yep. I like this. I like that as a concept.
The shoot the dog sequence. So predictable. Thank you.
Anyone who's familiar with military, like,
thank you.
The Russians did this with chickens for so long. Like, we know this. This is a KGB technique.
Right.
Who couldn't see that coming?
Well, and did anybody believe he was going to shoot the dog? So one of the good things that they did, and the character probably should have picked this up, Eggsy.
Yeah.
Merlin showed him he had to shoot.
Yes.
That great sequence. He pulled the ripcord.
Yeah.
Shoot went out.
He should have known at that point that they weren't going to let anyone die, and they weren't going to, that there were still going to be safety nets, and not to trust these people, essentially.
Right. Yeah, basically.
Not to trust a single word coming out of their mouth until you pass the course.
So then in the homage to Bond, parody of Bond thing that's going on in this movie, they give Eggsy Rosa Kleb's poison-tipped shoe from Russia with Love. Yeah. Right? Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you know instantly that's going to be part of the climax of the movie. Yeah. Right? But then when he jumps in the air, clicks his heels, does
that was a horrible CGI.
Thank you.
That was horrible
Thank you.
CGI.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you.
All of that could have been done with a much better slow-mo camera.
It was just bad.
I will give it to him. Firth and Egerton did a lot of really good action on their own.
Oh yes, they did.
And they made incredible use of swipe cuts to hide when they swapped in a double to take on the big stuff. Okay. Which is essentially, if you watch the church fight scene, every time someone passes in front of the camera, it's a swipe cut. That's a cut.
Oh,
the minute it goes black, that's a cut.
Gotcha.
That's where the cuts are in that scene. In case you were wondering and didn't know that, because you can tell there's a big, it's like the middle of the first half of the church fight. Like the big church fight starts and he starts moving and someone moves in front of the camera and it's obviously someone else if you pay it enough attention. Okay. And they hide his face for like a good 10, 15 seconds of action and then another person crosses and it's back to Colin Firth.
So
it's very well done.
You always, but at this point you always know in any action sequence, if you can't see the actor's face, it's a stunt double, and that's fine because it's usually so well done, you know. I didn't. Now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it.
It's worth rewatching just to like if you if you're interested in it. That fight sequence is great.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. And so and
it also becomes a fun game.
It's a real cool thing with Amazon. I think I paid $2.99 to rent the movie, and I watched it last night, and then I watched it again today at work. I sped through and I checked my notes on certain things, but I have 30 days to finish the movie, so I can go back and rewatch it again. Yeah. And just that thing. So all right. Here's where I'm at. So I will not sit here and say I would never watch this movie again. I probably will watch this movie again. All right. This is one of those movies that if you are like bored to tears on a Saturday afternoon and this comes on, I will sit and watch it.
Really?
Knowing
that there's some entertainment value.
Okay. Knowing that it's a consumed content movie.
Yeah, it's very much a popcorn flick.
But earlier I said, you know, the movie's bad when you pause it to research. Right? Yeah. Okay, here's the other one, right? The parody of the James Bond vodka martini, shaken not stirred, right? And so it's gin, not vodka, stirred for 10 seconds while glancing at an unopened bottle of vermouth, which is a hysterical line, right?
Yeah.
It is truly funny.
It is truly hysterical. And it is a great line.
It is a laugh out loud line. And then, but then I paused the movie and I got on Google and I started researching this because it is attributed to the Churchill martini that allegedly Winston Churchill once said, "I would like to observe the vermouth from across the room while I drink my martini." But then I said, okay, wait a minute. Did Churchill really say that? Because there are so many quotes attributed to Churchill that aren't Churchill. Yeah. And it turns out, no, he didn't. Yeah. Not only did that really come from another source, and I forget what it was. I didn't write down the other source of that hysterical line. Okay. But this is how much the movie didn't hold my attention. Churchill historian Richard Langworth he is the senior fellow at the Hillsdale College Churchill Project.
That is the most British thing I have ever... Okay. The senior fellow?
Yeah, except Hillsdale College is in Michigan.
I know, that's still the most British thing I've ever heard.
He wrote, Churchill shunned cocktails and mixed drinks. He heavily watered his scotch, but not his brandy. His daughter once poured me what she called a Papa highball. It consisted of enough scotch to cover the bottom, the rest water. His former private secretary, Jacques Colville, described it as scotch-flavored mouthwash. He began doing this as a young man in Africa to purify his water. Pretty awful, really. And so...
So we learned stuff about Churchill today.
So I paused the movie to research the martini. And the interesting thing is they said that somebody described Churchill's ability to consume alcohol as rhinoceron. As in like a rhinoceros's volume of alcohol.
But he's drinking watered down scotch.
Well, what he would do is he would be drinking what he preferred 95% club soda to 5% scotch, but he would drink it from 2 PM till 10 at night. So it gave the impression that he was constantly drinking when he really wasn't.
I mean, that's an intimidation factor.
Well, yeah,
there's an intimidation factor there.
It did say that the Nazis had him written off as a lush when he was anything but.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, that is great.
Okay.
Things that made me laugh that shouldn't have.
Okay.
If you save the world, we could do it in the A-hole. And he says, I'll be right back. I was like... I was so unexpected from the princess of a foreign country. He asks for a kiss, and she offers anal. Oh my God. I should not be as entertained by that
it's
as
just
I am.
Out of nowhere.
It is. It was absolutely
And her accent makes it so much better.
Yes, it does.
It's just so much funnier.
Yes, it does. And then you get when he finally returns to the room and the camera pans on her naked backside and you see Merlin going, whoa.
Merlin's actor is great.
Merlin's actor was fantastic. I had only seen him once before. Have you ever seen Kick-Ass?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the only other place I had seen him before.
And I knew he was there.
Eggsy walking through the room filled with headless bodies. That was kind of a fun touch at the end of the fight sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And the breakdancing sword fighter with the Blade Runner.
He was in Sherlock Holmes. I had seen him in Sherlock Holmes as well.
Haven't seen that one.
Shazam, and there's a few that I've seen him in.
Right.
I'll just put it that way.
So,
fun actor.
I've got nothing else on here that's worth mentioning.
So, I want to let you know, in the line of the sequels aren't, well, at least, I'll be honest, I haven't seen the prequel, the Kingsman, with a space and an apostrophe.
Right.
Which is supposedly the origins of it in like World War I or World War II. Is
it a comedy or is it
No, I don't know. I've never seen it. But the second one is definitely more leaning into the comedy.
Okay.
But also, I'll just save you the time and effort. It's not worth watching. Again, Colin Firth didn't die, which sucks because that was actually
a real cool surprise in the movie.
Yeah, so I choose to ignore the fact that the second movie happened. It also, speaking of actors who are way too overqualified to be in a Kingsman movie, Pedro Pascal is in it.
Oh, sweet Christmas.
Uh-huh.
What are these people, short on cash?
I don't know,
living above their means?
Channing Tatum was in it, which is about par for Channing Tatum.
Okay.
Channing Tatum.
All right.
Okay. And it's about them going to America and meeting the statesmen, their American counterpart, which they didn't know existed, and the Americans didn't know they existed, and it's like, what the f***?
That could actually be funny.
It has some funny moments. It has some creativity, but the villain kind of sucks. The plot is nonsensical, and it kind of
So they still haven't made up their mind if they're an action movie, a comedy, or a parody.
They definitely lean more into the action, but none of the action in it is anywhere near as memorable as the first one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
None of it. It's not. It's literally. Do not waste your time watching it. Do not waste your time watching it. The only thing cool about it is that Pedro Pascal spins a revolver on his finger in the middle of a fight upside down like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like it spins like this, and in slow motion, he's shooting people with it.
Nice.
That's it.
That's creative.
That's it. It's creative, but that's it.
Yeah.
So that Kingsman, the Secret Service, is at least good to waste a couple hours on. I don't recommend the second movie, and I have been told to stay away from the third.
You know,
I've kind of summarized. This is very much a consume.
This is a consume the content movie.
And only pay attention when the action scenes are on, because I'll give them that. They knew how to shoot action.
Oh, yeah, the action was fantastic.
Action was fantastic.
Yeah. The
very stylistic, and it's a shame that more people haven't tried to do with action what these guys
they did with it.
Yeah. They took old concepts and made them fresh, which was really cool to see.
You know, I think the one thing, you know, just listening to you that is the most impressive is that church was packed with people.
Yes, it was. Oh, yes, it was.
I'm wondering what the rehearsal schedule just for that fight sequence must have been huge.
Must have been insane. Yep. And the freaking gym setup you would need to rehearse that is crazy.
Yeah.
And the complexity of just the choreography. There's a reason there's so many inserts, because the choreography is so complex.
Yep.
Like,
that would be fun to find to watch behind the scenes.
Some of the previs of it would be really fun to watch. But all right, Kingsman: The Secret Service. What do you think of it? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below.
Hit the subscribe button if you like what we're doing here. We'd love to hear from you, and hope you enjoy enough that you want to see a little bit more.
And that should do it.
One last question.
Yeah.
Did my reaction surprise you?
Not really.
Yeah, okay.
Not really.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.